Hello and welcome to the Unnamed Automotive Podcast. My name is Sammy Haj Assad, and with me, as always, is my good friend and fellow automotive journalist, Benjamin Hunting. Say hi to the people, Ben.
Greetings, human listeners.
Greetings to everyone. If this is the first time you're listening to our podcast, thank you for trying something new. I will reiterate, Ben and I are a pair of automotive journalists, but more important than that, we're very, very good friends. Isn't that right, Ben?
Such good friends that we're actually recording this episode really late because we got lost in the banter that happens before the show.
Every time. This is getting later and later, to be honest. And I think I'm not an evening evening person. I'm more of a morning person.
I'm in my jammies now.
I'm not in my jammies. I like to record in the morning in my jammies, which we never do unless something has gone horribly wrong.
I don't have anything good to say in the morning.
What? How is that possible?
Just how it is. I don't know. Just
I'm a morning person, and I can't. You can't stop me in the morning, man.
So I'm not a morning person, but I've developed the inability to sleep past a certain time as I've gotten older. It's kind of like reverse insomnia. Like when I was a kid, I mentioned on the show before that I had like crazy insomnia, and I just thought all kids couldn't sleep at night and all kids were tired all day. And then probably by my late 20s, I began to be able to sleep better at night. And now I can go to sleep okay, but I can't sleep in anymore. I get up at like this morning, I woke up at 9:30, which is extremely late for me now. Like normally I can't.
Lucky.
I know, it was just, I have no idea how it happened. And I went to bed early too. I think I just had too many early. I had a root canal this week and I had to get up early for that. And I think my body was just like, okay, you deserve a break. But the reason I mention this is because normally I can't sleep past 8, like just not possible. I could go to bed at like 3 a.m. and I'm getting up at 8. It sucks. So yeah, we're not recording in the morning is the end of that story.
You can find Ben's work all over the internet because he sleeps in till 9:30 some days, and that allows him to be a far more productive member of society than most of us. Ben, where are some of the publications? What are some of the publications you've recently written for?
You can find my writing at Motor Trend, at Haggerty, and at Inside Hook.
And you can find my work at autotrader.ca, driving.ca, and Capital One's Auto Navigator.
Sammy,
Ben, yes?
Even though I woke up later today, I want to tell this story because it's related to cars. I managed to get something done that I've been putting off for almost a year and a half, and that is register the small utility trailer that came with the house that we bought in 2023.
I think it's insane to me. The number of things the former owner of your property has left for you or gifted you. I don't know if he explicitly gave you these things or he just straight up abandoned.
Asked me when we made our offer, he asked me, "Hey, do you want this trailer that I have?" And it's funny because the trailer was not on the property at the time. I had never seen it. He's like, "I lent it to a friend of mine, but I can get it back from him and just give it to you if you want." And I'm like, "Of course, that would be amazing." Like, thank you for telling me about the trailer I didn't know existed until this very moment, right? So he ended up including that with the house. But here's the thing: it's like a 6-foot utility trailer, to haul stuff to the dump or like carry tires, for example, that kind of thing. And it's been parked beside this shed that I have for the last year and a half because I thought that to get a trailer registered in Quebec, you either had to go through I didn't have any paperwork with the trailer to change hands or anything like that, and I thought you had to either have the paperwork to get it done and there would be some kind of like taxation process involved like there is with every vehicle transfer in this province, or I thought I'd have to get it inspected for safety. And I didn't know what kind of condition the trailer was in because I'd never rolled it.
Yeah.
So here's how it actually went down. I went online this week or the week before, and I was like, what do I have to do to register a trailer? All you have to do is show up at the SAAQ, which is the licensing bureau in Quebec, tell them, "Hey, I built a trailer." And then they ask you, "Is it more than 900 kilograms? And you say no, and they give you a license plate.
900 kilos for the Americans is what now?
It's about 2,000 pounds.
Okay.
And they give you a license plate, and that plate is good forever. You never have to renew it. You don't have to do anything else, and you don't have to show them the trailer. Like it's essentially for home built trailers, or I think there is a process for
Oh, yeah.
changing hands. If you like have a larger trailer and you're selling it, that you have to go through like you would sell a vehicle. But the world of small trailers is apparently the honor system. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
how much this trailer weighs. I don't even really know what size it is, but I just told them like, yeah, it's like 500 pounds. And they're like, how much can it carry? I'm like, I don't know, 1,000 pounds. They're like, how about 1,500? And I'm like, okay.
What was the bargain there? What
I
was
don't
the negotiation there for?
Negotiating me up. Cost me $80, and now I have this trailer. I don't know how well it rolls. Like, I'm gonna have to test it out because it's been sitting.
Mhm.
But yeah, it'll be fun.
Okay, that's cool. But you know what? More than your trailer, you've had some really interesting other additions to your life, and I think it would be really cool if you detailed those right now because they're automotive. And
Additions to my life makes it sound so formal. Like I got an advanced
to your
degree.
garage mostly.
So as
it's kind of eclectic. It's kind of interesting, and I think people would be really curious to know what's going on.
So
in your
long
garage there.
time listeners are probably aware that we're a multi Subaru household, and
and podcasts.
yeah, as both Sammy and I. Well, no, Sammy doesn't anymore technically own two Subarus.
There, one is made in a Subaru factory. The other one actually has a Subaru badge.
And you sold your third Subaru, right? Like that's gone now. So we have two here as well, and
I've min-maxed the Subaru Outback, the Subaru portfolio. I have their Halo product on both ends currently, I guess.
So I have a very sketchy 2004 Subaru Impreza RS, and the RS
When you
was
say sketchy.
I'll get to that.
Okay.
The RS was the model that was the WRX without the WRX engine. So it has it has the fender flares, it has the suspension, it has it's a manual transmission, so it has the mechanical all-wheel drive system and all that. I bought it from a friend of mine back in 2021 because when the pandemic happened, it happened in March. Obviously, everyone remembers. I don't have to educate people on that. But for someone like me, I don't have a personal vehicle that's available in the winter at that time. All of my vehicles are put away for the winter to avoid salt and rust and everything. So I was in the position of being this professional automotive journalist who didn't have a car available and had to
During
walk
the pandemic,
everywhere
yes.
for like an extended period of time. And I felt so stupid. I was like, how could you be entirely reliant on press fleets during the winter? Like that's, I personally think that automotive journalists should own their own vehicles because you should have skin in the game. And I do own my own vehicles.
Skin in the game.
No, but there are, you
what
should
a
know.
term to use. I think, I mean, I totally I understand that you think they should own a vehicle. I just think that the ownership experience that you go through also translates to your like what you're telling your listeners.
Yeah, that's my point. It's like you should know what it's like to own a car and pay for insurance and pay for oil changes and pay for tires.
Yeah, we're all in this together in the suffering of constant
There are
payments.
people in our industry who don't do that.
I do know that, yes.
So back to the story. I had these summer vehicles. I didn't have anything in the winter. And in the past, I'd had what I call a leave behind vehicle, which is something that I use to drive from one fleet to another. And in Montreal, the fleets they're not super far apart, but it can be 20 minutes, 40 minutes in traffic, and I had been taking ride sharing services, which were scary. I had some pretty bad experiences. Yeah. You never know who you're going to get. Sometimes it's a safe driver. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's a vehicle in good shape. Sometimes it's not. But I had gotten rid of my most recently behind because it was just too rusty. And I realized I needed to do something by the time the next winter came around. So next winter came around, a friend of mine was selling the Subaru. I paid a very small amount, like $1,600 Canadian. It was very high kilometers, but it was in good shape. He had taken care of it. It had been his partner's car for a very long time. And she had just moved on to a newer Impreza. So it was perfect for me when I was living in Montreal because I did not have to drive long distances. It never left the island. I was putting like 500 kilometers on it a year. That's like 250 miles, 300 miles, because it was only going from one fleet yard to another. And then occasionally, if there was a problem, like I had to return a vehicle early or a vehicle broke down or it was canceled before I could book it, I would just drive the Subaru in the winter. Like I would just, that would be my vehicle for the week. Flash forward to last year. Suddenly I'm living 80 miles from Montreal and farther than that from all the press fleets. I have this same vehicle, which I've received like almost no maintenance during this time. I've done oil changes and I've done a brake flush and that's it, because I'm not putting any miles on it, but sitting is hard on a vehicle. and it's still getting exposed to salt and rust and whatever. And I've cracked the windshield on it. The exhaust has fallen off once. I've had it replaced. Like I had a straight pipe put in for the resonator. It's happened again. So it's very loud. It still drives fine, but there's deferred maintenance that's multiplied to, maybe $1,000, $2,000. The Subaru engine is leaking oil when it sits through the seals. I believe it's the valve cover seals. In any case, when I start it up, it burns oil for like the first 10 minutes or whatever, because it sits a long time. So there's enough time for the oil to... Anyway, what I'm saying is it's not the kind of vehicle that you would want to take on a long distance trip. And now I'm in a situation where if there's a press vehicle that falls through, I have to drive my sketchy Subaru from Montreal to where I live now.
Basically, every trip now for you has the potential to be a long distance trip.
It's an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And in with no traffic. And I have to hope that that's like more time in the vehicle than I would put on it in a month.
Yeah.
And then I have to drive it back to Montreal. And I had to do this last month because I had a press vehicle fall through. I booked another vehicle to replace it, but there was a gap of a day. So I had to come into Montreal, drop off the vehicle, come back to where I live, and then do it again 24 hours later. And then involve driving the Subaru back here. I've only had to do that twice in the last year and a half, but I had a scary situation where I was on the highway. Someone slammed on the brakes in front of me. And because the Subaru is driven so infrequently, there's a lot of corrosion built up on the brakes. I slammed the brakes on and it did not stop in a manner that I considered safe.
Yeah, I know. I understand this. Yeah.
So this is the big backstory for enabling my Facebook Marketplace car shopping addiction, which is every single day I go on Facebook Marketplace and I look at every single car that's for sale and I send them to my friends. Sammy gets a lot of cars.
Yes, I do. I try to respond to them as much as I can, but sometimes I'm like, not this again.
We talk about it and then I move on usually. Sometimes I don't move on. And
sometimes I say something like, hey, that's cool.
But what happened is the Subaru being problematic and my wife saying, hey, maybe you shouldn't be driving this sketchy car anymore. It gave me focus on potentially making one of these marketplace things a reality. So I have been there's a number of cars I casually shop. Sammy, can you tell me, based on what I've sent you, the cars that I routinely return to again and again? Do you have an idea? This
is so easy. Yes. One, Isuzu Vehicross, always.
Okay. Yeah. But you never, those don't exist. So like.
don't exist? They exist.
Listeners will probably recall that last fall I put a deposit on a Vehicross and then I changed my mind because it was super rusty.
So Isuzu Vehicross, CTS wagon. Cadillac CTS wagon.
That's true. Another car that almost doesn't exist. Very hard to find.
I think sometimes E-Class wagons are on the list.
They're interesting, but I'm too scared to commit.
Yeah. Genesis, either a Hyundai Genesis or a Genesis.
Yeah, like I was looking at like the Genesis, the Equus and the Genesis, the early Genesis. Yeah, that's true.
Before they became a luxury brand on their own, they became a luxury nameplate first.
Yes.
Or model nameplate. What is one more? I think that's got to be the majority of them.
Well, I also look at a lot of like 90s era F series trucks and also Mercedes SLs, the R129s from the 90s.
Oh, you don't send me enough of those. Really?
Yeah, those are two. Well, the F series trucks they're not out there. So I don't send a lot to you. No, but for whatever reason, 90s, they call them OBSs, old body styles. Mm-hmm. They're just not easy to find in Quebec. And the R129s are. They are very easy to find, and they're pretty affordable. I think that Mercedes SL is at the bottom of its depreciation curve, and I should buy one, and I probably won't. But
I always thought you'd be interested in the GM, the 80s, like they're hard to find, like the SS or the Typhoons or the Cyclones.
Well, those are really expensive.
They're very rare, but sometimes there's ones that look like they're that, but they're not.
No, I'm not interested in an S10 Blazer. Okay. I mean, that's not something for the purposes of a leave behind. It has to be modern enough that it will start every time I turn the key. It also has to walk this weird line between desirable to me, but undesirable to thieves because it sits in a parking lot that's unguarded like 7 days a week. And by 7 days a week, I mean 365 days a year. Like it's just sitting there. So I have for a long time been curious about second generation Nissan Pathfinders. And I don't know if I've sent them to Sammy. I know I've sent you QX4s, which was the Infinity version of that, because I just think those are neat. But the R50 Pathfinder, I think, is an overlooked vehicle. They were built from like what 98 to 2004, I think.
Yeah, they're like, it's this era of Nissan where they are like, I think quality wise almost up there with Toyota, but like for whatever reason people just like passed on them. Like I would say that in many ways a Pathfinder and a 4Runner could be comparable of that same.
There are some interesting differences between the 4Runner and the Pathfinder from that era that I think I mean, obviously there's the Toyota tax that makes all 4Runners more expensive, and more desirable. Everyone's focused on the 4Runner, but the Pathfinders, the R50 Pathfinder is a weird vehicle in the sense that it's not a unibody and it's not a full frame like the 4Runner is. It's both. They built this kind of like half framed vehicle, and it also has an independent front suspension design that makes it a little more challenging for lift kits.
Right.
But the flip side of both of those things is it's much more comfortable on the road in the sense that it handles better because of the IFS. And also it's not as heavy necessarily as a full frame vehicle, and it doesn't transfer roughness into the cabin the same way a full frame vehicle does.
All of this information is to suggest that you have purchased an R50 second gen.
I've been looking at them for a long time. Yeah. And they're tough to find in good shape in the sense that everything rusts, right? And especially stuff from the early 2000s. That's a long time ago now. But I was cruising on Marketplace and I saw one for sale semi-locally, like within an hour's drive. And not only was it apparently in great shape, it had been maintained by the owner to a high degree. He had a list of all the things he'd done with it. He had pictures of the underside of the vehicle, which you don't post unless there's no rust, right? And all of those things were very appealing to me. And then I looked closer and realized that it had a 5-speed manual transmission.
Ooh.
This is incredibly rare. They did not make very many Pathfinders with a 5-speed manual. And the ones that they did make, very few people bought them. Like, it was not a popular option. But for someone like me, it's the ultimate option, right?
Exactly.
Like, because not only is it rare and cool, which is one of my requirements when purchasing almost any vehicle, it has to be somehow different and interesting, but it also isn't going to be appealing to thieves because from what I understand, thieves don't like to steal vehicles with manual transmissions. So that's another plus. But the third thing is a manual gearbox in a vehicle that old is going to be much more reliable than an automatic transmission. I don't have to worry about like how much abuse the transmission has taken, because an automatic transmission, heat is the enemy of any vehicle's component. But for automatic transmissions, it's like doubly so. Like things can go south really fast if those transmissions have been abused. So it was like this perfect confluence of all the factors that I needed to talk myself into spending money I didn't need to spend yet on a vehicle that was in much better shape than my Subaru. And I ended up doing it. I went and I saw the car. I took a test drive. Everything checked out. And the next day I called the guy and I'm like, hey, let's do it. So I bought it, drove it home. And now I own a 2002 Nissan Pathfinder 5-speed with like nearly the same kilometers as my Subaru, like 280,000 or 270,000. But it's incredibly clean. It's comfortable. It has a few issues that I'm going to get looked at. There's a clunking from the driveline that I think is maybe drive shaft related. And I want to get the rear suspension arms looked at because that's a common problem for these cars where the bushings go and then they start to sway and whatnot. But the air conditioning works, like everything works. It's a base model because of the manual transmission, but it has a sunroof, power everything. Someone like kind of went crazy on the options. It has like the Nissan factory bull bar in the front too. So it looks all rough and rugged. And it's honestly a lot of fun. Sammy, I didn't tell you something that's going to be embarrassing to say, but every time, and I've said this to you before, but I'm going to say it for the listeners. Every time I drive it into the small town that I live in, I feel like the main character in like a mid-budget early 2000s movie who's like lives in a small town, but doesn't know they're the main character of the movie yet. Like they're just like, going about their life. Cause it's like a time capsule being in this vehicle. I'm just super into this era. And I like the fact that it's not ostentatious, it's not showy. It's like a very basic transportation type of vehicle, but it's basic transportation done well. The other thing that pushed me into spending the money to buy this, I paid considerably more than I did for my Subaru, but that's to be expected given that, used car prices are much higher now. Mm-hmm. The other thing that made me do it was my Subaru is going to break one day, and it's going to break in a way that makes me want to walk away from it on the side of the road and never see it again.
Right.
And I'm going to be in a position where I'll be forced to buy another vehicle.
Exactly.
And
so why not get ahead of that?
Why not get ahead of that? I have had people say, well, why don't you just go back to using ride shares? And I'm like, I could do that, but I can't ride share back from Montreal. Like it's
brutal.
It adds a complication to my life. So my response to that was to enable myself to buy a vehicle that I've wanted for a long time. Sammy, do you have any questions about my
Pathfinder? I have a million questions. I mean, First of all, is this actually I want to relate with you. The fact of I also my 2010 manual Outback was a leave behind vehicle. It stood for a long time in press fleets for a very, very, very long time. And then eventually when I replaced it, I didn't get rid of it, and it stood on the street for even longer periods of time than it did in the press fleets. And then it eventually just didn't want to move anymore. And then that made it, I just neglected it. So I want to say two things. It seems like Subarus are actually surprisingly decent at being left alone for a long time with minimal maintenance.
I think so.
That is a testament to something. But at the same time, all cars will eventually reach a breaking point when they have to be replaced.
And the thing about the Subaru is that it's not a car that I want to put money into.
Exactly.
Whereas
it's not that they're expensive to repair either, because so many of their generational, so many of the things that happen to a Subaru, does not happen specifically to a model. Their parts are almost interchangeable across their entire lineup in a given year or generation, right?
It's just the overall condition of the car does not warrant spending double its current value on repairs. So, whereas with the Pathfinder, if something were to happen, I would be interested in fixing it.
So give me a few ratings: exterior, interior, powertrain, the vibes, the electronics and the vibes. Tell me all of those. I think those are four things.
I mean, the exterior has a few small dents. The paint isn't perfect.
It's 30 years old. But
that's excellent, because that means everyone in there should have a vehicle in their life that they can park anywhere and walk away from it and not worry.
Exactly.
And this is the Subaru is that, and this is that, and that's it. Every other vehicle I have, I'm concerned when I walk away from it. I'm careful about where I put it. I wouldn't leave it for a long time, that kind of thing. But this vehicle, it's in the shape enough where I don't have to worry about it turning into flakes of rust, but I also don't have to worry if someone puts a door ding on it. It's not going to bother me.
Totally.
The inside is surprisingly clean.
Is it leather?
No, it's not leather. Like I told you, it's a base model. So it's an SE. Yeah. Only
you said that it had a bunch of options, though.
Yeah, but you can't add leather to a base Pathfinder in 2002. It wasn't really a thing that they did. Only the base models got the manual transmission. The interior is very clean. I know that the person who had it before me was a younger man who had it for a couple of years. I think he bought it from the original owner. And the reason he sold it was because he had a very long commute and the fuel mileage was killing him. So he took care of it like it was his baby, and I get to benefit from that. I really appreciate that. So he did a lot of cleaning inside. He had a lot of spare parts. He had a lot of documentation of all the stuff he'd done. It's like a light interior. It's a light color, like a tan. It's super roomy. There's decent room for everything. The rear seats fold in this elaborate way where the seat bottom folds up and then you fold the seat back where the seat bottom was.
I've seen this. I don't like these.
Well,
you like that? It's supposed to make, I think, a flat load.
Yeah, it makes it flat. So I like it because it's flat. I can tell you that I drove a Jeep Wrangler. Was it a Jeep Wrangler? No, must not have been a Wrangler. I can't remember the exact vehicle that I drove recently where the seats folded but not flat, and it was like a ski jump in the back. And I was like, aren't we beyond this? Haven't we figured this out yet? So anyway, it has a tailgate that splits, so you can open up the glass or you can open up the tailgate. when I bought it, it had a rattle in the tailgate, and the owner told me it's because it's missing like a little rubber stopper that screws into the tailgate and holds it fast against the bodywork. The rattling eventually made me crazy, and I went online and I paid $29 US for this tiny little piece of rubber that's the size of your thumb, and I installed it, and it has made a huge difference. So it was definitely worth it. Mechanically, it's a VQ motor. It's the VQ35. And starting in 2001 is when the Pathfinder went from the 3.3 to the 3.5 engine. I like the 3.5. It's much more powerful. I think it's like 70 more horsepower than the engine it had before. It's 250 horsepower if you use premium fuel and you have the automatic transmission. Sorry. Let me make sure I get this right. I think it's 250 with the automatic and 240 with the manual. But that's only on premium fuel. If you use regular gas, it knocks it back a bit, and you can also get some detonation and stuff. It still has regular gas in the tank. I'm going to move to premium. It's just it better all around for this particular vehicle, for the VQ. The fuel mileage is like horrendous. It's like 15 to like 20 miles per gallon on a good day. For a V6, I mean, I don't have great expectations. I also don't need to drive it long distances on a regular basis, so it's not a huge problem for me. And it's honestly probably better that it uses the gas in the tank instead of letting it sit there. Like the Subaru, I filled up like twice a year, you know, and that's, that's not good for the fuel. But it drives nice. The power is decent. I don't really rev it above 4,000, although I've been told that's where the quote unquote power is. It's plenty quick enough.
The quote unquote power.
It's quick enough for my needs. It has 4-wheel drive. 4 high, 4 low. I've been told, work? Yeah, works fine. I've been told it's good off-road. Like the R50 is pretty decent as an off-road vehicle. A lot of people modify it for that purpose. But I'm just really enjoying it. It's as a time capsule, and it's fun to drive around. I haven't brought it into Montreal yet. I'm going to wait until I take care of a few more issues that I want to have verified before I abandon it in the city for the rest of its life. And it's just kind of too much fun to not drive. Like I almost regret the fact that I'm going to be using it as a leave behind, because it's better than that. But I also bought it knowing that I'm not going to put a lot of miles on it. So the condition didn't have to be perfect. And like, it's again, a weird line to walk where like, I need a vehicle that I'm cool just leaving wherever, but I also need it to be reliable enough that it's going to start every time I turn the key. The last thing I want to say about it is, since it has the manual transmission, it has a limited slip differential, that's the only way to get it with the R50 Pathfinder.
And
I just think that's cool. And it's going to be
what
useful
is it like?
To me.
What does it feel like? What is it like?
It feels like, I think that the early 2000s, the late 90s, early 2000s are a sweet spot for SUVs. I think it's the period where they were modern enough to drive comfortably. Like they weren't like, if you drive stuff from the 80s and the early 90s, a lot of those designs have been designed like in the 70s. They were using very old technology, and they're not great to drive. Like they feel kind of rough. They're not comfortable. They don't steer well. The fuel mileage isn't great. I think by the end of the 90s, everyone had figured out sport utility vehicles that were comfortable. And they were, at the same time, they were still engaging enough that you actually feel like you're driving. Whereas nowadays, I feel like SUVs are very insulated and removed from the driving experience. You're kind of just in this big thing that's like disconnected from the road. So like probably from like 95 to like 2006, 2007, there's a lot of really cool trucks from that period. And I've always wanted something from that period as an SUV, and the Pathfinder is the one that I picked. So I'm enjoying that aspect of it. I think these are, I don't know if I call them modern classics, but I think it's a nice combination of modern enough to not worry about and classic enough to still feel like you're driving it yourself.
Okay. All right. All right. That's a pretty cool update. I can't wait to hear. Now you have like two SUVs in your garage?
Well, and there's the Crosstrek.
And the Crosstrek. Yes. Yeah. You've got a very balanced garage, it seems.
I don't know. I don't know if balance is a word I would use to describe my car buying habits.
Oh no, okay. I would say so.
So
what else is going on? Have you been test driving anything in addition to buying new vehicles?
Yeah, I recently went to Mosport. The Canadian Tire Motorsports Park is how you might be more familiar with it, Sammy, considering you
Mhm.
live in the area.
Mhm.
It's a Formula One track, a former Formula One track that's just north of Toronto. And I went there with my dad because there was a track event that he wanted to attend. I'm not driving on the track this year because I don't think I have the mental focus to do it. There's just a lot going on in the world that's been really distracting from my life. Sorry, there's a lot going on in the world that's been distracting me from
Yeah.
being able to concentrate on things. And I feel like in a race car, I need to be able to concentrate 100% or it's not worth me being there and it's not safe. So I've decided not to be on a track.
Mhm.
But I did want to go and have fun with my dad. So we hooked up a trailer to a 2025 Chevrolet Silverado 2500 HD and towed from Quebec to Mosport and back in over the course of 2 days.
Okay. And
And what? What do you want to know?
tell me everything. I mean, that must have made. First of all, the car you guys tow is a Mustang, right?
Yeah, it's a 2005 Mustang.
And not that those aren't like light, but it's still like to a 2500. That should be easy work, right?
Well, the total load weight was probably around 6 or 7,000 pounds.
Okay.
Considering my dad's trailer is like a big steel trailer, and with a wood floor, it's pretty hefty. Also, there's a lot of tongue weight because of how his vehicle has to sit on the trailer in order for the doors to close. It's very close to the front of the vehicle, front of the trailer. So in a normal pickup truck, like a regular duty truck, this can be problematic. Sometimes the tongue weight is too much. In a 2500, it made absolutely no difference whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like there was a little bit of sag from the tongue weight, but you'd have to look for it to see it. The truck that I was testing with was the Trail Boss model. So it's an LT trim with the Trail Boss package. And on the 1500 series, you get a lift kit with that. On the 2500, you don't. It's just the regular heavy duty suspension plus knobby tires. So it rides a little higher because of the tires that are on it. And it has a few other off-road goodies. But what's interesting about the package is it's very bare bones in terms of features because the LT is like one of the lower trim levels for the truck. Can you go lower than that? There's probably a work truck version, right?
Yeah, WT, right?
Okay. So I'm driving this truck, which has, LT package. The interior is okay. It's fine. There's a $10,000 engine option under the hood. I had the 6-liter diesel. I want to make sure the size of this. Let me pull up my stats here. It's the Duramax diesel, and some versions of this truck can tow up to like 20,000 pounds, Sammy.
That's like a house
with the right trailer. If you have like a gooseneck or a fifth wheel or something like that, you can really haul whatever you want. The one I had was rated for 18,500 pounds on a conventional hitch.
That's insane.
That's totally crazy. The regular 1500 Silverado can do 13,500 in like a stripped down model, and you would probably be white knuckling it at that. The 2500s are really a totally different story. So it's a 6.6 liter turbo diesel V8, 470 horsepower, and 975 pound-feet of torque. Wow. And that's matched with an Allison 10-speed automatic transmission. Although I've read that the name Allison is just being licensed and they didn't have much input on the design of the transmission. I don't have a full source on that. What I can tell you, though, is that in tow haul mode, the transmission does a really good job of maintaining vehicle speeds going down hills and whatnot. Like it's pretty good at aggressively selecting a gear so you don't have to use your brakes as often.
Okay.
This 975 pound-feet of torque is crazy.
Of course.
And it's like all below, like, I think 3,000 RPM or something. So when you're merging on the highway, you might as well not have a trailer behind you. It makes no difference at all. You just go. I've said crazy too many times on this podcast. It is an intense sensation of acceleration.
How is that? I mean, look, you've towed trucks, you've towed cars and race cars, you've towed trailers with a variety of different pickup trucks, and every time, you, especially when you're getting into a 2500 or something like that, of that level of truck, it's super confident. Is that what you're gunning for? You're gunning for this like insane feeling, or you're gunning for the confidence? You're gunning for the stability? Does that feeling of power and torque, the idea that it feels like you're not towing anything at all, is that appealing? Like, I know that sounds like a dumb question, but
The idea of not towing anything at all is appealing when you're on a really long trip.
Because, feeling like it's not towing anything at all. Yeah.
Because if you have a long trailer that's heavy, you don't. I think what some people don't understand when they tow is that the bigger and longer your trailer gets, the more impact it has on the tow vehicle in terms of it starts providing its own steering inputs.
Yep.
So like on a trailer,
especially like when wind is involved or braking, especially like heavy braking or hard braking or
so like
that.
With the load that we had, that's not going to be an issue. And when I say you don't notice it, it's because the truck is designed to handle those very large campers or boats or horse trailers, where you're really going to get that sensation of the load itself. It's compared to like a regular duty truck. In a regular duty truck, I will always notice that trailer is there, the 7,000 pound trailer, because you're much closer to the maximum. Like even though a truck is rated for 10,000 pounds, right? Or 13,000 pounds in a regular duty truck. The closer you get to the edge of that, the more difficult it's going to be to tow comfortably. And the more equipment you have in your truck, the less tow rating you actually get. So your truck might be rated for 10,000 out of the factory, but your trim level might have all this equipment installed that cuts down on the amount of weight you can actually put on the trailer, because it's the gross combined weight of the trailer and the truck that's what matters. So that's where you start seeing the heavy duty trucks like the Silverado really pull away from other trucks. I mean, the other thing I need to stress though is that you really need that to buy a truck like this, because this was $103,000. That's not a casual amount of money to spend on a vehicle that is task focused like this, unless you have a task that you're going to need to do with it all the time. Last year I towed with an AT4X GMC Sierra that was also a heavy duty truck and had a crazy off-road package on it. And I did not think that was a good idea. I didn't like the truck in the sense that I thought it was just too much. It was like, are you going to take this off-road? And if you are, would you be better off with a smaller vehicle? And do you really want to be going off-road and towing? Like, do you need this combination of features? It seemed like something that was dreamed up more by marketing than by an actual customer case.
I mean, I can see the customer case because there's like off-road vehicles like side-by-sides or maybe even like dedicated buggies or something. That you need to take to the trail, and then once you get it to the dicier parts, that's when you're going to start playing around in a.
But you're not taking your trailer off road.
No, I suppose not. You're taking it to the mouth of the trail, I suppose, right?
Yeah. And the height of the vehicle and the suspension tuning.
Oh yeah, really impacts the trailing.
It really it's a lot less comfortable. This one thing. Even a regular heavy duty truck like this Silverado going over bumps on the road, rough pavement, you really notice it because it is designed to carry a load. And if it's not carrying a huge load, there's going to be bounce, there's going to be rumbles, there's going to be like uncomfortable stuff through the cabin. The biggest complaint I had about the truck was it didn't have adaptive cruise control.
Oh, interesting.
And it's $103,000 Canadian. In the States, I believe it's right around 80.
And there's no reason for it to not have that, right?
I can tell you the reason. The reason is because it's an LT trim, and GM has unilaterally decided that for Chevrolet LTs, you don't get adaptive cruise. You can't.
Yeah, that's not a reason. That's not a technical reason.
This truck had something called the safety package too. Like it had the extra gear that you get, but that does not include the adaptive cruise. And I noticed it. It was irritating. I love adaptive cruise in traffic. I know there are people who don't like it. I like it. You have to be a lot more proactive. And anyway, when you're towing, you have to constantly be aware of what's around you, because when you pass someone, there's a lot, you can't just pull in right away, right? You have to make sure your trailer clears them. You have to make sure when you pull out, there's enough room between you and whatever's behind you in the left lane to accommodate the trailer as well. And you have to keep in mind that people are going to cut you off because they think you can just stop like a normal vehicle. Right. They don't understand that you have extra weight behind you that informs your ability to stop. But with adaptive cruise, like you have a little bit more of a cushion. And when trucks with adaptive cruise are in tow haul mode, they add extra following distance on the adaptive cruise. And you can't turn that off. So like there's an extra safety that's built into it, which I appreciate.
Interesting. Anything else you want to talk to me about? Well, what was your, how did you feel about Mosport?
I got 14 miles per gallon with the trailer on, and I got 15 miles per gallon with the trailer off. That's about.
Don't get one of the. I mean, that's always the case, though. A truck like this is not made for fuel efficiency, right?
It's about like 17 liters per 100 kilometers. That was what I was getting in it.
That's not very good.
Yeah, but for a truck this size, right? Like that's what it's going to be. Just what you just said is very accurate.
Okay, but seriously, what was your time like at the track? Did you have a good time?
I didn't drive. Remember?
Yes, but did you enjoy your time in the track?
Oh, my time. I thought you said my time. What was your time as in lap time?
What was your, what was your, you drove a long way is what I'm saying in this truck to go on the track. How did you feel when you got there?
Sammy, I'll do anything for the podcast. You know that.
Yeah. Were you comfortable? Was it feeling?
Was I comfortable? No, it was super hot.
Did you feel beat up after that long trip in the, dealing with a big truck and a trailer?
Not necessarily beat up, but tired for sure. But a lot less tired than I would have been in a regular duty truck, because in a regular duty truck, like a half ton, I would have had a lot more sway. I would have had to plan all of my acceleration a lot more. It just would have been a little bit more of a hassle.
Okay.
For sure. I had fun with my dad there, and we met some people I hadn't seen in quite a while from my lapping club. I hadn't seen them since last year. It was a club that comes up from the United States that had booked the track, and it was good to see everybody, and they enjoyed the track very much. It's kind of a bucket list track for a lot of people because of how quick and challenging it is. And there aren't a lot of facilities like this track in the world. In North America, I should say. Mm-hmm. So it was fun. I enjoyed it. And it's always good to spend time with my dad like that. I didn't get to see Sammy because he was, where were you again? Jordan, yeah. Which is really far from Mosport, which is just north of Bowmanville.
I should have given you the keys to the house and let you hang out.
Well, Hamilton's a bit far from Bowmanville too, I think.
Yes, it's very far. But you would have had an opportunity to be in Hamilton.
Yeah, I mean, every chance I get, I'm going to jump on that.
Anything else you want to talk about this week? What's going on? Everything good?
I don't want to answer that.
We'll answer that next week?
Yeah, sure. I feel like I've just kind of been droning on and on this week.
Like because I'm holding back. I'm keeping all of my cars.
Well, you're not going to hold back next week, right? You're going to talk about something exciting.
Yeah, fine. I'll talk about something exciting next week. It's going to be the Porsche 911T.
What does the T stand for?
I believe touring, but I don't know if that's true anymore, or what that means in particular.
Turismo, Turista, Tourist Trophy?
Maybe. All of those things combined.
Okay.
What about you? What do you got?
I'm going to be talking about the 2025 Kia EV6, which has been sort of redesigned, sort of refreshed, and sort of stays the same. But there's some aspects of it have like really changed, and it's going to make a big difference for EV owners depending on where they live. So I'm interested to talk about that.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear how you feel about it, and I think it'll be interesting. Cool. Thank you, everyone, for listening. If you want to get more of our podcast, just head on over to the Unnamed Automotive Podcast website. It's unnamedautomotivepodcast.com. There's a contact form there. You can fill that out. And all of your comments or questions land in our inbox. I really recommend you guys send us your questions and comments because the weeks are long. We love hearing from you guys.
Hard weeks.
It brightens up our day every single time. Additionally, you can reach out to us the old-fashioned way in that you don't have to go to a website. You just email us, benjamin@benjaminhunting.com, or you can reach out to us on social media. Ben is at huntingbenjamin on Instagram and is also I'm Sammy I'm at Sammy_ha, like you're laughing, as you're probably doing right now. And I can't wait to talk to you guys next week.
Sammy has informed me that in Japan, the Pathfinder was called the Nissan Terrano Regulus.
No, that's the QX. The QX4 was called the Regulus. The regular Pathfinder, I think, was called the Terrano.
Tyrannosaurus Regulus?
Yeah.
Is it weird that I'm cosplaying my own life? Like that whole thing where I was talking about like feeling like I was in a movie just because I'm driving this Pathfinder. Does anyone else have that feeling in their car? Like they have a car that makes them feel like they've kind of stepped out.
There's somebody else?
Yeah.
I have that. I get that with my FRS all the time. It doesn't feel like me in that car.
What does it make you feel like?
I don't know. It makes me feel like a younger person. Like this is a child who should know. Like I'm a person with responsibilities and a family and a mortgage and everything like that. And I guess I bought that car before any of that happened. And whenever I get in it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is like what it feels like to not have any of that on my mind.
So you're saying like your FRS is like the path not taken.
It's a snapshot of my life before it currently is.
Isn't there a movie called that, like My Life Before Me or something like that?
My life before my FRS.
My Life Before Scion.
Yeah.
If anyone else out there, like I think I just mentioned it, but I want to reiterate: if you have that feeling in your car or a friend's car or something like that, I would love to hear it. I would love to feel a little less weird.
I also know, and then additionally, when I get in my Outback, it's like, oh, I'm in a completely like purpose-built family vehicle. I don't need to drive this fast. I don't need to drive this aggressively. I don't need to drive this. I don't need to care about going over the speed limit or being in the left lane. It's like I feel like I have a totally different persona in two different cars. It's so interesting.
You know, so when I drive my actual classic cars, like the Jeep and the Datsun, I feel like they're so old that they're so far removed from every other car that I'm going to meet on the road.
Yeah.
And other people are going to see those and be like, what is like, there's a disconnect, right? Like it's clear that they're classics. It's clear that they're from another era. And I think with this Pathfinder, like it's 23 years old, right? Or 23 years old, but it still looks new enough that like to the outside world, I think it still looks like just a car, you know, it's just a truck. And like, I know that it's old and I know I'm having this experience, but I feel like it doesn't cross the line in the same way my truly old vehicles do.
Right.
Like
that's fair.
It's only a little bit older than my Subaru. And I would never think someone looked at my Subaru and thought that's like a car from another era. I just don't think, but do people do that? Do you think people look at early 2000s cars and think that's from a completely different era than now? Or is it just like,
maybe enthusiasts, I think would definitely, people who are into it.
So I think that maybe most people see, I think there's an imaginary cutoff time-wise where like cars of today are just continuations of those cars, you know?
Yeah, like it's 2008 or something.
Yeah, like that's a good call. It's like a continuum from there, you know? Like you look at a 2008 and it's interesting.
Yeah, that's when like CVTs became like commonplace, the rear view cameras and sensors and all that jazz.
Although I would say that like maybe the modern software cars and the modern safety cars are like
are in a totally different generation.
Yeah,
especially with EVs, like purpose built or platform built.
So maybe there's like a second cutoff that we're just not aware of, that you and I don't see. Fair. I don't know. It's interesting.
We should have a conversation about it for sure.
Well, we're kind of doing that now, but
another time because I'm falling asleep. This podcast has run too late.
I'm the one who's in his jammies.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you
everyone for listening. See you later.
Bye.